Woosa, wake up South Africa. You've been sleeping far too long. Wake up South Africa. Now come along and sing this song. Wake up South Africa.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. My name is Bongisipo, and I will be your host for today's session. I'm hoping that everyone is feeling inspired during this Sunday morning. And if not, don't worry, we've got you. We've got you covered. Prabhu has got you covered as well. Our speaker today is His Grace Govinda Charan Prabhu. So yeah, we may start. Prabhu, the floor is yours.
Hare Krishna. Well, thank you very much for having me here. So we can have some opportunity to share the message of Krishna consciousness, you see. So in the scripture, in this book, Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that there is a verse that says, Satam prasangan mama virya samvida, pravantir karna arasana kataf, lechosanat asapravar kavartmani shadaratir bhaktir anukramisati. You know, it is said that Satam prasangan, that one should constantly hear the message of Srimad Bhagavatam, but hear from great souls, liberated souls, which I'm not. So one should constantly hear from people who are self-realized, people who made a lot of progress in Krishna consciousness, because they have the power. Their words, they have the power that when you hear those words, when they enter into your hearts, they can destroy all impurities in the heart. And they also can infuse bhakti in the heart of a living entity. Satam prasangan mama virya samvida. That these messages have a power in them, you know. So by hearing this message of Krishna or Krishna consciousness, one heart becomes more stronger. So you don't get affected so much by things like stress or, you know, disappointment or, you know, affected by anger, envy, greed, lust, pride. This message, because they have power, so a person becomes powerful. It becomes the character of the person becomes more stronger, you know, because it's not affected by material impurities and weaknesses, these things. So, Mama Vira Samvito, Pavantari Kanna Rasanakata. When this message flows into your ears, then Shraddha, the faith, develops in the heart. And also Rati, that faith, then the devotion, it comes into the heart of that living being. And also love for Krishna, love for God will arise in the heart of that particular individual. So, but first, because we live in the world, and well, even in the Bible, it said that the person is born in ignorance. We are born in ignorance. We're born, we don't know, and we live a life just speculating about so many things because we don't know. We were born in ignorance. Child is born, he doesn't know anything, so he has to learn. But the way of learning is by making inquiries, like this. So I'll read one verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam. This chapter is the first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam in the first canto. And this is text 6 or verse 6. So this verse says, Taya kalu puranani sati hasani chanaga akyatani api atitani dharma sastrani yani uta. So the translation of that is, the sages said, is the assembly of great personalities, sages, who assembled in the place called Naimisaranya, in the forest. Actually, we were there, and they were hearing. So, in order for them to learn the purpose, what is the goal of life, and what are the means to attain the real goal of life. So they said that they asked the questions from one personality also, Sutta Goswami. So the sages said, respected Sutta Goswami, you are completely free from all vice. You are well versed in all scriptures famous for the religious life, and in the Puranas and the histories as well, for you have gone through them under proper guidance and have also explained them like that. So this is one of the sages, Sutta Goswami, who all the other sages are posing questions to this great personality, Srila Sutta Goswami. So they're asking that because you have studied all these scriptures, you have assimilated them, you understood them, and you have practiced them and perfected them. So we want to hear from you. You can guide us. What is the ultimate goal of life? There's so many things. We live in the world. We have so many things we want to achieve in life, like this. But achieving that, whatever you think it is, you find that still the soul will still be unsatisfied. Because the soul can never be fully satisfied in this world unless he reaches that point of perfection. You see. So what is that goal of life? In another verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a verse, it says, Saivai Pumsu Parudharmu Yaktu Bhakti Aduksaja. Ahaituki Apratihata Yatma Super Sutati. So in that verse, Sukdev Goswami explains that that thing by which a person can feel completely satisfied, that practice is the only thing is devotional service to Krishna. By devotion to God, one feels completely satisfied. And with that devotion, a person does not require anything else. He feels that he has reached the point of perfection. is completely satisfied in his heart. Because whatever we do in the material world, we'll always feel unsatisfied, no matter what we do. So, but the nature of a living being is that he wants happiness, he wants satisfaction, he wants affection, he wants love, he wants freedom, he wants to be free, you see, like this. But these are the things which, although we struggle so hard in the material world, we never come to the point where we feel completely satisfied. We achieve something which we're hoping maybe this will make me satisfied or happy, but then after a few moments, then you realize that actually I still want something else. I want something more. The friendship, the relationship that we have in the material world, we find there is so much going on, dissatisfaction. We sometimes get betrayed by friends, or you find that your expectations of friend is not what's going to happen. Oh, I thought he was my friend, but how can you say this about me, or how can you do this like this? So there's always imperfections in whatever we do. That's why it is said that in this material world, happiness that we experience is like some nice sweet rice, but it's mixed with sand. We eat sweet rice, is nice, taste is good, but then the sand, in it, you chew the sand also. You know how it is to chew the sand. So the happiness in this material world is like that. You find that you think, oh well, yeah, this is good, but then again, it's mixed with so much misery in it. So it's not perfect, in that way. So, but the nature of a living entity, a living being, is that he wants that perfect situation. Because his nature is that he's supposed to be perfect. He's supposed to be happy. The relationship has to be perfect. The life has to be perfect. There should be no tinge of suffering, miseries, or problems in the world, or relationship should also be perfect, in perfect harmony with everything. So these are some of the things that as living beings we're always searching for, But we're trying to find those things in this material world, which is a world of imperfections. Because this material world, as it is said, is perfectly made by God to be imperfect. This is never perfection in this world. It's made to be imperfect. No matter what we do, trying to perfect the situation, but there always something will go wrong, you see, like this. So it's a world where everything that can go wrong goes wrong, you see, like this. Anything that can go wrong, it goes wrong, like that. So we can never expect that we can stay in this world and expect that everything will be perfect, you see, like this. So therefore, we have to find out how to reach that point of perfection, like that. How can it be perfect and be free from all kinds of miseries, all kinds of problems that may arise, either by this body or by the mind or by natural things that happen in life? How can it be free from all these imperfections? So therefore, sages, being highly intelligent and highly qualified people, they are posing their questions to one great sage, Sutta Goswami, to understand, that in this world, there's so many things, people are doing things, and many people also, they've achieved things. They pray to God, please give me this, give me that. God gave, but still, they still find themselves not fully satisfied, you see. So what is it that can make a person fully satisfied in life, make a person fully happy, have that perfect relationship, which has no faults, there's no defects, you see, like this. So therefore, in order to achieve perfection, one should make inquiry. How to achieve that perfection? And ask these questions from those that have achieved those perfections. So this is a book, it's called Srimad Bhagavatam. This book is called Amara Purana. The Purana is a book full of history, but also full of philosophy and explanations about all different kinds of subject matters, especially spiritual subject matters. How to perfect your life, because in this world, as we said, is never a perfect world. Living entity or living being does not belong to this world. We belong to the spiritual world. But we identify and think of ourselves as part of this world. And so we think we are this matter, which is the body. And so therefore, we are trying to achieve that happiness, that relationship based on this matter, which is temporary and is going to perish, because everybody has to leave this body, we have to die, not that the soul dies, because the soul is perfect and it doesn't die, you see. So, but this body which we think we are, we're going to leave it in the next so many years, So therefore, how can we come to a realization of who we really are? And how can we be free from all these problems relating to this body and identification with things that are temporary, that are subject to destruction, that are going to die? Therefore, we have to make some inquiries. In another book called Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna appeared as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he met with one of his great devotees, close associate, called Ramananda Rai. Is a book called Ramananda Samvada. That book is a talk between Ramananda Rai and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in that book, when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met with Ramananda Rai, Ramananda Rai, he asked a question, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked the question to Ramananda Rai. He said, what is the real goal of life? What is the goal of life? What are we living? What do we want to achieve? What do we have to achieve? Every living being has to achieve. What is the goal of life? What is the purpose of one's life? And what are the means to achieve that goal? How do I achieve that real purpose and real goal of life? Like this. So Ramananda Rai explained many different things. First, he explained that, first, a person has to perform religious activities, do some good things, be a righteous person, righteousness, be a good person, do right things all the time, and worship God, in that way. Otherwise, you ask for God for everything you want to achieve, like that. So, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, there is something, but it's external. It means it's not something to do with me. I am the soul, and these things about religion, these are external things which I have to perform based on the body. So what I want to achieve now are things that are based only to this body, not based on the soul, you know. There are many rituals that we perform, that we do in life, but which have nothing to do with God, actually. Those things are only meant to benefit this material body, to free a person from material problems. It's nothing to do with the soul, with the real self, which is the soul, you know, like this. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he rejected this, and he said, no, you know, this is not good, you know. Religion. It's not good, the religion. You know? So he said, no, you must tell me something more, you know, like that. So Ramananda Rai, he again quoted another verse from the Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, it says, Yat karosi yadas nasi, yat juhosi tadas yat, yat tapasyasi konteya, tat gurusva madalpanam. You know, like this. He says, God himself, he says, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, give away, and whatever austerities that you perform, do that as an offering to me. You know, like this. So, in other words, whatever we do, we have to do it for Krishna, for God, you know. You know, but in many cases, people think, oh, if I do everything for God, what about me? It means I have no food to the table. You know, I didn't do anything for myself. You know. So there is that idea that everything depends on my own actions, you know, on my strength, on my ability, you know, like this. So, so now Krishna says, do everything for himself, you know. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, again, he said, no, this is not good. I reject this opinion. You know. So then he said, no, you must tell me something more. You know, there must be something more than that. This is something to do. We offer to God, God, I'll do this for you so I can be free from this problem, or I do this for you so you can give me that. I do this for you. We do different types of rituals, sacrifices, so we can achieve something, you know. So God has to supply things, you know, like this. It's not out of affection or love for God, you know. It's not like when a mother is saving a baby, you know, he does everything for the baby. The baby doesn't do anything. Only when he feels some discomfort, then he just cries. And the mother has to make sure the baby is taken care of. You know, why is he crying? How can you sort that problem out? You know, all these kind of things. You know. So that love is selfless love. But when you do things offering to God for the purpose that I want something back, that is not love. You know, like this. It's not done out of love. You are doing something because you want something in return. You see, like this. So that is nothing to do with God. It's got something to do with you. It's all about you, about yourself. You know? But you're using God to give those things because you know God is capable of everything. You know, like that. So then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, oh, no, this is not good. You must tell me something more, you know. Then Ramananda Rai again quoted another verse, you know, from the Bhagavad Gita also. And he said, Sarva Dharma Ritaja Mamekam Saranam Raja Aham Tam Sarva Papibyo Moksha Isyami Masucha. He said that just abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender to me, and I will protect you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. I'll protect you from sin. Surrender to me. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, well, there's something there, but still, I'm not satisfied. Sarvadharma Parityajya, he says, abandon all varieties of religion. There's so many religions in this world. We are going to church, we're going to mosque, we go to temples or synagogues or, whatever. There's so many things. Institutions, So we do these things. And now Krishna says, you must give up all these things. Give up all these practices, religious practices. Just surrender to me. Give your life to me. And I will protect you. I'll take care of you, like that, like that. But we don't have that kind of faith, you see. So for us, we do things, but sometimes maybe once a week, we could go to temple, mosque, or church, or even pray maybe 5 times a day or whatever, every morning, every evening, like this. But the rest of the time, I do things for myself, like that. So then Krishna says, give up all that also, So I must give up religion, I have to be a religious person, a good person. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, he kind of didn't accept this idea, And then Ramananda Rai, he says, no, you must tell me more. Tell me something more than that. Then he quoted another verse, again from Bhagavad Gita, also. He says, was that verse? He said, Man mana bhava mat bhakto, madhyaji mam namaskuru, mam evasyas yudvevam, atmaram mat parana. He says, engage your mind always in thinking of me. Become my devotee. Offer your obeisances to me and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. Like this. Madhyaji mam namaskuru says, man mana bhava mad bhakto. Bhakti. Now, Ramananda Rai is mentioning a word about bhakti, about devotion to God. You see, like this, bhakti. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, yeah, now at least you are talking something. Now you're talking about devotion to God, like this, bhakti, like this. Because all this time, you're not talking about devotion to God. You're talking about offering things and taking back this, that, all these, business interactions. You give something, you want something back, all this. No devotion, you see, So when he mentions something about devotion, then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, yeah. At least now we are talking something, but there must be something more than this, He says, I accept this, but there must be something more, like this, so tell me more, like that, So again, he quoted this other verse, which I mentioned earlier. Say, Saivai Pumsu Paro Dharma. So that which satisfies the soul, devotion, is devotion to Krishna. When the soul, he does this, he offers himself in devotion to Krishna, then the soul is completely satisfied, like this. It doesn't need anything else. Anything else is a distraction, is a contamination. He doesn't want it, like that. So therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted this verse also. He says, yeah, this is something, this is something good, like this. So therefore, from this point, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu they started discussing these things about devotion to God. So there's so many things involved in that. There's different stages in development of this devotion to Krishna, and only on that point, a living entity begins to feel happiness, faith within the heart of that person develops, like that. Say Shraddha, then we call it Sadhu Sangha. That means the person will start to associate with those people who are involved in this devotion, Sadhu Sangha. Associating with devotees, other devotees. Then the person will want to associate with those people who are doing these things. And then Sadhu Sangha, then Bhajana Kriya. Then a person will want to do things that are related to Krishna, that are done for the service of Krishna. He wants to serve Krishna, Then it says Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, then Anatta Nivritti. Then all these impurities in the heart, we are doing all these things because our hearts are not pure hearts, you see. Our hearts are full of anger, envy, greed, lust, pride. So we do things only to satisfy these emotions in the heart. Greed, we do things because we have greed in the heart to different degrees, of course. Some more greed than others. But we all have that, like that. Sadhu Sangha, greed, lust, pride, all these things. Pride, different people, they are proud to different degrees, and lust is lust. It's there in people in different ways, to different degrees also, like this. Anger, we all get angry about something sometimes, like that. That is there. There's impurity in the heart. We act out of anger. We act because of lust. We act out of greed. We act out of envy sometimes, So lust, anger, envy, greed, pride, and also we have illusions in our mind. Illusion, biggest illusion to think that I am this body, I'm matter, Living being, jiva, soul, is not matter. Matter, in this matter, there's so many different varieties that are there. Thinking that I'm a black man, I'm black. Yes, I'm black. But I'm only talking about the body. I'm not talking about the real self, which is me, the soul, like that. That soul is eternal, is part of God, That soul is not a product of this material world. But of course, the soul is born through this world, through matter, you see. Because of union of male, female, the soul enters the seed, which develops because of union of man and female, sperm, ovum come together, and the soul comes in there and develop a body from that. You see, like this. So we are born as what you are now, is because of the combination of these things. But the soul was existing before coming to that womb, or before the combination of those seeds. And the soul lives in this body and maintains this body body is alive and is acting, it sees, it hears, smells things, tastes things, feels things. Why? Because the soul is there inside. And that soul is you. And that soul is not this matter, the body, flesh, blood, and bones, like this. It's not you. But now, that soul, even after this body is finished, that means when the body dies, when the soul leaves the body, but the soul is still alive, it still has its power to think, feel, and wish things. Thinking, feeling, willing. These are qualities of the soul, symptoms of the soul. But the soul, even after the body, the soul has this quality of thinking, and the soul still has this power also to feel things. It's active, and the soul still has its power also for desiring things, like this, So even after this body is dead, is finished, but the consciousness, the soul, still carries on with all its qualities of desiring, thinking, feeling, activity, and desires, like that. So now, but the soul, while in the body, has performed activities, has done things, So now, they say every action, there's a reaction. As you saw, social rape. One who kills by the sword, he dies by the sword, like this. It's just the natural law of action and reaction, so like that. This is law created by God, that things happen like that in this world, like that. So we do things and then we get those things back, We offer things to God and then God gives back the result, like this, But it's not about devotion or love for God. We still don't have that. Although it's part of the soul, because the soul, every soul eventually has to go back to God in love, devotion to God. But we're not experiencing that at the moment, because it's covered by matter, like this. We're covered by this body, and we think we are the body, like this. So therefore, when Ramananda Rai came to this point where he was talking about devotion to God, then God, Sriman Mahaprabhu, he said, yes, this is the point, like this. Only thing can free you from all these miseries, problems, troubles, cheating, what you can call it starvation sometimes. This soul, this body here, you feel hungry because of the body. The body is a big machine. It works in a certain way that you have to supply the body with food and this and that to maintain the body. Just as a car also, it goes, but you have to always put petrol in the car. Otherwise, it cannot move without petrol. So we are working hard only just to maintain this lump of flesh, blood, and bones. And we think it's me, like that. This is illusion, you see. This is illusion. Because I'm not this matter, I'm not this body, like that. So now we find ourselves struggling in life, but only to maintain something that is bound to die, like this. This is what we're doing, whether we're building a big house or we're buying a nice car or nice television, it's just to please this matter, this body here, like this. That's got nothing to do with the soul, so like that. So therefore, when a living entity, a living being becomes sober and understand that actually I'm a madman, I'm a madman. I'm thinking it's like this, but it's not like that. Because I say every living entity in this conditioned world is inflicted with a certain degree of madness. So we're all mad in some way. I'm sorry to say that. But there's madness in living beings in the world. For us, illusion has become a reality. You see, we don't see reality, because we understand this illusion to be real to us. So we are mad. It's madness. So therefore, to cure this madness, one has to have knowledge to understand what is reality and what is illusion, what is a fact and what is fantasy, we fantasize, So that requires knowledge, understanding the difference between this body and yourself, the difference between matter and spirit. Then the person from that point begins to understand that actually I live a life which is just, no matter what I do, is just disappointment, it's just frustration, it's a temporary thing, and eventually it will perish also again. So very few people come to that point, actually, of understanding these things, this point. Most of the people will live in the world thinking just eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Just trying to satisfy these things. How to eat. Working hard so we can have enough food on the table. Mustn't starve. So like that, and eating, sleeping. I have to have a house, big house, or maybe whatever place, but I have to work hard to have a house, like that's a place to stay, like that. It's hard work to maintain all that, and also eating, sleeping, mating, and I have to have a relationship, all these things, wife, children, and maintaining them. This hard work is lifelong, working hard for these things, but we're starting to satisfy this one desire. It's just last, like that, and then again, eating, sleeping, mating, defending, defending, we know. There's quarrels between people, amongst families, among societies, among countries, the whole world. There's so much fighting going on. Why? It's defending. Everybody's trying to defend, like that. So these are the things that are common both to humans and animals. So they say when the animal only just live just to satisfy these things, then he's not better than the animal. We're living in animal life. It's a sophisticated animals, like that. An animal living in a palace in Sentin, so, but the same thing animals are doing, so, there's no difference, so, like that. So therefore, one has to understand that actually the real goal of life is to get out of this whole thing and live a perfect life. And that perfect life you can only achieve when you have devotion for God. Then it take you out of all these struggles to try to maintain, to achieve things in the material world, which will not satisfy you. We are not satisfied. We have all these things, but still we are not satisfied. We're still unhappy. We're angry, envious of others. In the Bhagavatam, this says, this Bhagavatam also. This is verse. It says, the living entity, in this age of Kali, people have but short lives. They are quarrelsome, they are lazy, they are misguided, they are unlucky, and above all, they are always disturbed, like this. People we live in the world, we're always quarreling. Every day, offending someone, quarreling with someone, envious of someone, disagreeing with someone, all these things are going on. So a living entity in this age of Kali, but short lives. We live a very short life. Previous ages, people could live for 100,000 years in Satya Yuga. Tetra Yuga, people used to live for 10,000 years. It was just a normal duration of life. And after that, people would live for 1,000 years, just normal average lifespan of a living being in that time. And now in Kali Yuga, the average life is 100 years. We are lucky if we make it to 100 years now, like that. So we live a very short lives. We're quarrelsome, we're lazy, we're misguided. We've been told things that this is the truth or this is the way, but it's not true. When we misguided, told by other people who themselves have been misguided and they're guiding others who are also misguided, like this. So it's called a blind following the blind, like this. Blind man following another blind man. So how can you achieve? How can you get home when we are following a blind man? Like this. So therefore, that's why we have to go to sages. We have to go to liberated souls that have traversed this path and they are free from all contamination and vices. And those people who have achieved perfection, and then they know the way. And if we ask them, they will direct us in a proper way. So therefore, this Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna understanding that these are people of Kali Yuga, they are misguided, they are unlucky, they're not intelligent. Although we think we are so intelligent now, we think people who lived before, they are not very advanced, they were not very, intelligent, people. It's just another stupidity, it's another illusion that we have. Just put it on. We have all these illusions, Now people are thinking they are even more and more intelligent. As they're becoming more and more stupid, they think they're becoming more and more intelligent. They think that knowing a computer always intelligent. I can do any crazy thing on a computer. It's intelligence. So like this. So people don't understand that actually intelligence, understanding that what is the cause of the problems, how to get out of your problems. People with so-called intelligence, we do things that get us deep into miseries and problems and suffering, and we think that is intelligence, like this. So therefore, we are less intelligent. We are not very intelligent people, So therefore, we have to find out from people that they are free from all these things, who are not controlled by lower energies. They are not controlled by lust, anger, envy, greed, pride, and all these illusions in our minds, like this. More people they think they're more intelligent, the more people they're frustrated, they're distressed, they are suffering like anything. There's wars, there's problems, there's crime, there's drug abuse, there's prostitution, there's all these kind of things which are causes of misery, as people think they're intelligent, like this. So how come we're getting more and more into trouble and do things that are more animalistic if we are more intelligent, like this? So these are all the illusions of the world, people thinking we are more intelligent. It's just an illusion. We are becoming more unintelligent. So therefore, we have to go back to the original thing, as people, the sages, who are free from all these things, how to be free from all these vices, how to experience real happiness, how to achieve perfection. And then in that way, we find that we be directed to the same thing, that we have to achieve God. God is the ultimate source of all happiness, his ultimate source of all perfection. He is a perfect friend, perfect relationships that exist between living beings and God. Those relationships are not like sweet rice mixed with sand, like that. Those relationships are perfect. And there's no disappointment. There's happiness which you cannot experience, which you cannot imagine, actually, how happy we can be, like this, which is what we want. We're doing all these things because we're hoping that this will give me happiness. But instead, in many cases, we get disappointed, we get frustrated, we got exploited, like this, in the name of happiness, like that. So, therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in that discussion with Ramananda Rai, they came to this point of discussing what is this devotion. They describe that devotion. It's described in many ways. Bhaktivinoda Thakur also has written a book. It's called Bhakti Tattva Vivek. Devotion analysis of what is devotion. What is this devotion to God? Like this. Analyzing that. What is devotion? Like this. What is this bhakti? The tattva. And the vivek, the analyzing and proper understanding of what is devotion. Like this. So these things are all understood and analyzed and presented to us by great saints. They're giving this knowledge, like that. But many cases, we're not very fortunate to come in contact with that kind of knowledge, with that kind of understanding. Therefore, we live in these illusions, and living in that illusion means problems, means suffering, means so many disasters that you go through, like this, and you suffer, like this. But because compassion is the nature of any living being, when a person becomes free from all these contaminations, naturally, the soul has affection, has love for other living beings. So these grace-centered people, unconditionally, they have love, they are concerned about other living beings, and therefore they want to present the process to them, how to be a free person, how to be happy in life, how to get out of all these miseries, how to achieve the perfection of life, how to achieve God, like this. So we see in the history of so many great saints how much they went through a lot of troubles trying to save living beings from problems, from suffering. They themselves put themselves into a lot of discomfort trying to help others, like that. So therefore, they even wrote so many books presenting the process of how to achieve this ultimate goal of life, which is achieving God and getting out of this material world. So that is considered to be the highest gift, the highest charity that one should perform is to try to help others come out of this material world. That is highest charity that one can do like that. Can help others materially, help their bodies, maybe, maybe a person is, is poor, you give him money, but he can even use that money also, again, to bring himself more miseries. Maybe buy some bottle of alcohol and drink again, So it's not really helping that person. Helping a person is to show him the way. It's just like, as they say, that you can give a man a fish, but best thing is to teach a man how to fish himself, That is better than just, give you one fish and that's it you eat for that one fish and it's finished again, back to square one. But if I teach you how to do it yourself, then I give you something higher than just giving you one fish. You can fish yourself and do it yourself, like that. So therefore, great saintly people. Here we see Srila Prabhupada. He was not forced. Nobody said, no, leave India, come to the Western world. But his compassion compelled him to go out and help other living beings, like that. It's not that he was forced. Nobody forced him. But he felt like, how much miseries are there in the world? How people can be free from these problems, miseries. How people can be happy. How people can get out of this material world. So he made a lot of sacrifice to help out. And he translated these books, which were written in Sanskrit language. And he translated them and wrote them into English, like this. So if you want to perform some charity, help, you get yourself, practice first, this Krishna consciousness, you try it yourself, start and practice and follow the rules, principles, you chant Hare Krishna. And then you'll see, as you become stronger, a little bit, and try whatever you've done, try to share that with others. And then you see that you become more successful in your life, like this. Your life become more productive, more fruitful, and you become more happier in life, and you achieve, you are heading towards perfection, towards the real goal of life, like that. And then you'll be a happy person, and there'll be no problem, like this. So therefore, I don't know whether I should stop here, because there's always a lot of things. We speak the whole day, but we have to consider others also. Yeah.
Okay, Prabhu, thank you so much for that wonderful lecture. We will now be moving on to our question and answer session. So if you have any questions or comments, please type them out on the chat box or raise your hand and you will be unmuted to ask your question. So whilst people are still doing that, if they have any questions, I have a question for you, Prabhu, myself.
Yeah, we're happy to discuss anything. Yes.
So I'm kind of paraphrasing Prabhupada when he said that for every one of us, the person that we love the most is ourselves. So if you have, someone who's, if they're in immediate danger with a group of people, even with their other family members, they will try to save themselves first. So, you know, considering that love that we have the most for ourselves, does it help one's bhakti when they try to understand the philosophy from the perspective of, you know, I'm doing this because it benefits me long term? You know, if it's difficult for them to, in the beginning especially, to do everything for Krishna and for God without expecting anything in return, you know, does it help to see this as a self-benefit thing?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the self that you're talking about in most cases is mistaken identities, you could say. You know, we're thinking of the self as the body, you see, which is not the reality. The reality is that I am the soul, but I'm not thinking that I am the soul. I'm thinking that I am the body. So this love of the body and this mistaken identity of thinking I am the body and trying to save yourselves, meaning you're trying to save the body, not your real self, that is not going to help spiritually, you see. You know, because you are not tapping on the spiritual energy. You're talking about material energy, the body, you know. Saving yourself from death means you're trying to save this body, you know, because you think you are the body, you see. But if you understand that I'm not this body, I'm spirit, I'm soul, I'm part of God, you know. So your main concern is how to save yourself from this false identification with the body, thinking I'm matter, you know. So you do things that will protect you from falling into that consciousness of thinking I'm matter and things relating to matter. You see, like that. You know, so that is the difference. You know, saving yourself meaning you save the soul from falling into illusion, from falling into Maya, because the soul does not. You cannot harm the soul. You know, you cannot make the soul wither or rotten or things like that. You know, so his soul is not subjected to any kind of material. You could say whatever is happening on the body. You know, body being temporary, body being tired or sick, or you know, there's so many things. But these things are happening to the body. And we are mainly trying to save ourselves from these things, which are only related to the body, not ourselves, the soul. You see? Because our identity is not correct. You know, we're not identifying ourselves as our real selves, the soul. We're identifying with matter, you see? Like that. So saving yourself meaning you save yourself from this illusion of thinking I am the body. Yeah.
Very true. Well, thank you for that, Prabhu.
Yeah.
So we have another question a comment from Jamavan Temba Das Prabhu. He says, Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. How does one feel like they are performing their own legend or own goals? If Krishna still told Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra that despite his choice of not wanting to take part in the war, all the soldiers on the battlefield, he laments for are already dead. How is one to feel like it's a choice to have a goal in mind? Wow, I read that one quite badly. Perhaps Jambavan Prabhu can ask in person and unmute.
I wish I echo.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yeah. Well, you see, there is different the knowledge that is given in the Bhagavad Gita is presented at different stages. You see, first in the first chapter, you could see they're talking about the war and principles of war, how, or even it comes to the second chapter, on the 12th verse, that is when they start talking about the soul, you see. So earlier, they were talking about material situation. They were not talking about spiritual things, actually Krishna on that point, you know. And they talk about sacrifices that has to be made in the third chapter, karma yoga, those things are we do in this material world for the benefit of the body, for our well-being in the material world, you see, like that. So Krishna, when he talks about Arjuna in the early chapters, he's addressing religious issues which are related to the body, you see, like this. So this thing about Arjuna lamenting that he's going to kill his own kinsman. Kinsman meaning related to his body is a kshatriya. You know, you're fighting in this material world. Some people are your relatives in the material world. Some people are your enemies in this material world. We talk about material situation, you know, which later on Krishna, he says that give up all that and now try to understand that you are the soul, you know, you are not these things, you know, this matter, you know. But first he has to address also the material situation of a living entity, because as I say, religion comes at different stages, you know. First, a person has to understand the right and wrongs in the material world, you know, like the principles of material world, how things work, culture of living in morals, social systems. These things has to be addressed first for a person to become a little bit sober, you know, so that he does not perform sinful activities. He does good things, you know, like this. What is good thing? What is bad thing? First, we have to understand that on the material level, you know. So then later, we can address issues, how to get out, as Krishna was saying, abandon all varieties of religion after some time. Abandon, give up all these religious codes and this and that, and just surrender and give your life to him, you know, like that. So when he speaks to Arjuna, first, he does not speak so much about spiritual knowledge. He speaks about religious morals, social systems, how political situation, how we should run the world, Kshatriyas, rules of fighting in the war, you know, all these things, you know, they has to first be addressed. So a person understands how this material world works, which person plays which part in the material world. You know, there's many things described in the first chapter about Kshatriyas, Sudras, Vaishyas, and Brahmanas. There are different classes of men. Classes of men meaning that every society, there are different classes of people who have a certain type of role to play in the society, you know, like that. So in Arjuna's case, he had a role to play also in the society as a certain class of person, you know, this category of this type of people, they are kshatriyas, they are leaders, they are fighters, they are protectors of society. So his duty is to protect the society, you see, like that. So if he doesn't do that, that means he's failing his duty, you see, like that, Arjuna, like that, So he has to fight. His duty is to protect his own people, like that. That is the duty of a kshatriya, So he had to do that then. I don't know if I got your question right, though, Would you like to ask, maybe repeat the question, see if I got it right?
Yeah, I think you got it right, but I think what I was asking is that because the topic was the goal of life in mind, something like that. Yes.
Yeah, right.
So Krishna's telling Arjuna that like if you're crying over like people are already dead, like whatever your choice is, people are already dead. Now, how should one feel like the choice that they're trying to make or the goal that they're trying to strive for in life in mind is their choice? Is it ultimately Krishna's choice? Because no matter what is happening on the field, the outcome has already been like the outcome has already happened. Is his choice or is it Krishna's choice? And therefore, if it's Krishna's choice, why does it meant to feel, Nati, it's your choice or your goal? That's my question.
Yeah, well, I understand your question. In life, we make decisions, but in many cases, decisions we make is based on how we are conditioned as living beings, you see, like that. For kshatriya to fight, this is nature, like that. But for, you could say a brahmana, a person who is like very humble and scholarly, is intelligent, this is fighting, no, killing people, this is not the right thing, so like that. So his choice is not like, make a choice based on how I should fight people. His choice is that how to avoid this war and fighting, all these things, like that. But it's all created by Krishna ultimately, you see, like that. Because Krishna, as this says in the Bhagavad Gita, I created these 4 classes of men according to their qualities and work, you see, like that. So everyone has certain qualities in life, and therefore, because of his qualities, there is certain type of work which you can do, like that. So Arjuna also, although everything is designed by Krishna, he knows ultimately that already I've arranged all these people to be killed in this battlefield. But he doesn't force anybody, everybody makes his own choice, So Arjuna Krishna present knowledge, and Arjuna has to make a choice based on knowledge. This is what I understand. His nature also is like that. So then he makes his own choice, like it. Just like when you come to the machine with, you could say some cold drinks, you see which one you like, you make a choice. There is this Sparberry, there's Coca-Cola, there's this, different things. You have to make a choice, which one you like. But what is pushing you to go there is because maybe you feel thirsty, you want to drink something. But there's other condition also that you have to have money for that to buy. It's like this. So there's a lot of things, factors that affect that, like that. And then also whatever you decide to choose, it's your own choice, like this. But based on the qualities, based on what you have, If you don't have money to buy, even though you may be thirsty or, but you cannot buy still, So that choice you make is based on your qualities and your capabilities and, you know, your nature, like that. Yeah. You know, Hare Krishna. So, yeah. Hare Krishna.
We have another question from Savya Sachi Das. He says, Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for the reminder not to overly focus on my animalistic aspirations. Is there some recommendation you can give to help me to speed up my raising out of life's illusions?
Well, there's many things. There's so many scriptures, and all the scriptures have rules, regulations of how one can make progress, either in spiritual life or even in material life also, you see, like that. But we trying to move more towards spiritual aspect of life, you see. So our recommendations would be more how to increase your realization that you are a spirit. And as a person performs these activities, gradually the desire for material things, it gradually diminishes, you see, like that, naturally. You know, so we mostly recommend to people that first try to get some knowledge, reality, facts about the futility of this material world. That is something futile. Although you may try and do so many things, but still you will not achieve the happiness that you think these things will give you. You see, like this. That's just the understanding. But also, on the other side, you try to engage in some kind of spiritual activities, like you chant Hare Krishna, mantras that have power to purify your consciousness, to purify your senses, so that you gradually become free from strong attachment to material things, material body, and material activities, like that. And you study Shastra, because knowledge is power. With the power of knowledge, with the power of understanding the nature of spirit and material things, a person is able to distinguish what is the proper way to act, you know, because he's acting, as they say in the Bhagavatam, that with the weapon of knowledge. You know, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, he explains, says, Raja Vidya, Raja Guham, Pavitram, Idam Uttamam, Pratyak Savagamam, Dharmyam, Susukam Kartum Avyayam. That this knowledge is the king of education. It is the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge. And because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting, and it is joyfully performed, you see. So a person he feels some joy in the heart just by understanding these things, you know. This knowledge is the king of education. There's so much things, more and more books are being accumulated about knowledge of things and in this world, you know. So much information is now available. It's increasing all the time, the information. But you can see that with all this material information that is accumulating so much, but the character of the people and the quality of life and the consciousness of the people is dropping. People are becoming more animalistic because of, you know, imbibing too much of all this illusion, which is called education in this material world. So therefore, the real education is to understand what is spirit, what is matter, you know, understand how does matter affect different aspects of matter, affect one another, and produce certain type of, whatever product it is. And also understand the difference that there is a spirit, and how spirituality makes a person free from these illusions of material world. His mind, his consciousness becomes clear, that he can distinguish easily what is illusion and what is reality. You see, which when you are too much absorbed in material life, we cannot make that distinction. You see, because our consciousness is too much absorbed in these lower qualities of nature. We're acting out of greed, lust, pride, illusions, all these things, like that. Therefore, our consciousness is clouded, and therefore we cannot achieve peace and happiness in that kind of situation. Like that. So therefore, try to first study this. Well, not study, maybe in a way, in the beginning, whatever you can read, it will make some sense, and, you can, grow from that, gradually. And also, as much as possible, try to associate with people that are practicing these things, like this. Yeah. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. Shravanam, by hearing or studying these things, Kirtanam, or try to chant something, chant Hare Krishna, then Vishnu Smaranam. Then you can remember these things, spiritual knowledge, spiritual things, those things will help you to be free from illusions of the world. Like that. It's just a beginning. It's like that. We begin from there. We are all beginners. We are still very low in our understanding of spiritual life. You see, like that. Slowly.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Unfortunately, we are running out of time. We have a few more questions in the chat panel. We apologize for that. We don't have enough time on our hands, but I'd like to strongly ask the people who haven't gotten a chance to get their questions read to please contact you on social media, and they can ask the questions there. I will post your social media contact details in a moment. But before we close, do you have any closing words, perhaps?
Well, what I would say that the more people try to involve themselves or engage in some kind of spiritual things, the more that will improve the situation of this world. Right now, things are not right. The whole world is in turmoil, actually. Families, societies, even individual people are so distressed and unhappy and frustrated. Everything is just like, not going in a right direction, you would say, maybe. So it begins from one person. You see, so if you can't change the world, you can change yourself. One person changing, then another person. You find that the more number of people changing and becoming more spiritual, that will help the whole society, the whole world, the families, the friends, even will get affected, everybody. And then the situation in the world will improve. So if you can try, those who are fortunate to have come in contact with this type of understanding, this knowledge, they should try also to pass it on to others, like that. Those are just a few things I could say for now. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.